Well, here we are, hooked down in Great Salt Pond, Block Island. Had a good time walking around Old Block Island, and the vegetation was pretty and interesting wildlife, to say the least. We picked up a case of Narragansett beer for my son, who's apparently a fan, and then we went over to the Block Island Museum. It's quite a nice presentation of history of the old island. We took the dinghy back to Quetzal, just in time for Ryan Rayfield of Sail Libra to stop by and say hi. Next day, it was nice and sunny, so we went up to the Southern Lighthouse and took in the tour. It's very interesting history, beautiful Fresnel lens, and overlook. Impressive. Of all the beautiful sights and sounds of Block Island, what was probably the most impressive were the stunning sunsets that we experienced on the Great Salt Pond. And just like that, it was time to leave, but not without taking one last photo of this beautiful Robert Perry designed CT-56. Some interesting boats here in the anchors, to include this old Navy tug, which apparently somebody lives aboard. Well, after 4 very pleasant days here at Block Island, we've hoisted the anchor and we're heading out. Gonna cross over to Newport. Doesn't look like there'll be much wind again, but you know, is what it is. It didn't take long to realize that Newport would live up to her reputation as matriarch of America's Gilded Age. And there's still clearly a little bit of money around.
Newport, this is picture perfect. Clear of mooring 6-3 and heading for mooring.
Lucky and got a mooring right on the waterfront. First stop was the Sailing Museum and the America's Cup Hall of Fame. Then it was time for some music and libations.
Like this, I can't help but wonder, what would you do? I'll tell you what I do. Go ahead. Come right down to Newport Harbor and hurricane.
The next day I had to attend to some business in New York City, so we jumped on the train. Caught up with some guys that are building a space plane, believe it or not. And better than some Italian food al fresco in Soho. So we had Lars Svendrup, rigger, at Newport, come out and sort out our boom issue, our furling issue. Probably gonna need to get a new unit though. Being a Chesapeake Bay sailor, you know, we're very proud of Annapolis, and Annapolis being the capital of sailing, but honestly, Newport, Rhode Island puts Annapolis to shame. Okay, well, we moved over to Potter Cove, which is over near Jamestown. Moved over here yesterday because the wind was gonna get pretty strong. We were expecting gusts in the mid-30s, which I guess we got. The wind's been in the 20s most of the day. It's good holding here. Only 2 other boats. Well, not including Coast Guard. But now we have a line of thunderstorms, squalls headed our way, so let's see what happens. Could get a little sporty. We had a small band come through, a little bit of rain, no lightning, but now we got something coming. This looks like a small but compact cell moving our way. Did you see that? That was no bueno. Ahoy sailors, we're anchored in Bristol, Rhode Island. Came up this morning from Potter Cove, which was close to Jamestown. Had some impressive storms last night, which I'm sure you'll see in this video. Well, you will have seen in this video. Yep, we're anchored here in Bristol, Rhode Island. Looking forward to going ashore. What's very interesting is the one and only other Cabo Rico 56 is about 200 yards away on a mooring ball. So we're gonna go by there and tap on the hull and see if we can't say hi to the owners and maybe get a tour. Well, there she is. There's the other Cabo Rico right there. There's the other Cabo Rico 56. That's hull number 1, Trinity Grace. Obviously the hull's the same, but the interior is quite a bit different than ours. Bristol's a proper New England maritime town. Very cool place and a boat building center. We were able to catch up with some great cruising friends while we were there. And we visited the Harrisoff Museum, which was equally cool. After a few days, we were ready to sail back to Newport, but not before we did a sail-by with the other Cabo Rico 56. This is hull number 1, SV Trinity Grace. When we arrived in Newport, the annual Folk Music Festival was still ongoing and boats were out everywhere. Say that for most of our trip, the weather was simply fantastic. Presented us with some amazing views. And I guess no visit to Newport would be complete without a tour of the Cliff Walk and the Breakers Mansion. It's really amazing the opulence that was on display during America's Gilded Age. And if you know me, you know that I have a passion for beautiful, classic old sailboats. And so for me, Newport was like being in the candy store. I had to jump in the dinghy and take a look around. After another short stay in Newport, we headed up to East Greenwich to check out that unique little town. On the dinghy ride back to Quetzal, we checked out this replica of Joshua Slocum's Spray, which unfortunately has fallen into disrepair. Then it was a quick hop back to Bristol, where this replica of a Spanish sailing vessel was in. The Wednesday night race scene in Bristol Harbor is a sight to see, and the Sea Sprite 23 fleet is very impressive. Here we are leaving Bristol. Did you like Bristol? Yeah. It's nice, huh? It's a really nice town. So we've been here twice, I guess. Kind of been moving around Narragansett Bay the last 2 weeks, but we're gonna go sailing again. Haven't done much sailing on Narragansett Bay. There hasn't been much wind, and there's been short movements. Newport to Bristol, Bristol to Newport, Newport to East Greenwich, East Greenwich to Bristol. But we're gonna head out on the ocean tomorrow, head for Martha's Vineyard. Once back on anchor in Newport, we were joined by this 100-footer, which is the largest Irwin ever built. just like that, the rain's gone, the sun is out. It's a beautiful day again, and the boat is clean. Once again, it was time to get underway and depart Newport Harbor. We are underway to Martha's Vineyard. Sailing up Vineyard Sound, and we're in the lee of Martha's Vineyard now, so the big ocean swell has stopped rocking us around. We've got pretty flat water. It's pretty nice sailing. Sun even came out. Well, underway from Newport to Martha's Vineyard, heading for Vineyard Haven. It's about 44 miles. We are sailing, which is great. Hasn't been that much sailing on our little adventure up here in New England. So today we're underway and under sail. Well, we have hooked down in Vineyard Haven. Out here in the outer, well, in the anchorage, just north of the mooring field. Doesn't look very crowded, the mooring field. But anyway, it's a beautiful boat. Don't worry, Bill, we brought our wallets. We broke into the piggy bank. Martha's Vineyard was a pleasant surprise. It was much more working class and down to earth than we expected. Of course, there was still plenty of wealth on display, but there was also craftsmen, and we really enjoyed walking around the old boatyard where they were restoring these wooden sailing vessels. Unfortunately, the weather changed with the wind shifting to the north, and the harbor became a bit of a bumpy ride. So we dropped the lines and sailed back to Block Island. Well, here we are at Block Island. And unfortunately, it's time to head back to the Chesapeake Bay. We've had a wonderful cruise up here in New England. Not a lot of sailing, I'm afraid. The weather remained rather unstable as we contemplated our passage back to the Chesapeake Bay. Well, here we are at Block Island, anchored in the Great Salt Pond, and sadly our New England cruise of 2023 is coming to an end. We need to head back to the Chesapeake Bay. It's been a great trip. We've really enjoyed our time up here, loved the weather, and except for the last few days where it's been a little unsettled. Not a lot of sailing, but I think that's sort of how it goes once you get up here. You know, it's short hops between anchorages, and the wind gods rarely favor you when you're trying to move. We are again anchored in the Great Salt Pond. We're getting ready to cast off to head back to say at least Lewis, Delaware, or Cape May, a little offshore passage. We've got a big front passing through. You can see part of it behind me. Once that passes through, we'll take a view as to whether the conditions warrant our departure this afternoon, or perhaps discretion is the better part of valor, and we will wait till tomorrow. Waiting till tomorrow probably means more motoring at the end, but just what you got to do. Pretty impressive front coming through. We've had most of the rain already. I think this rain will pass south of us, and then the wind's supposed to pick up something fierce. It's shifting from southwest to northwest and blowing mid-20s, gusting 30s. and then slowly dying off, getting back into the reasonable teens, gusting low 20s.
Today, south winds 15 to 25 knots, seas 6 to 10 feet. Scattered showers and thunderstorms with visibility 1 nautical miles or less. Tonight, southwest winds 10 to 20 knots, becoming west 10 to 15 knots. Seas 6 to 11 feet.
We made the wiser choice and waited for the next morning to depart. Still faced some challenging conditions when we got out on the ocean. Stay tuned for the next episode to see if we make it to the Chesapeake Bay or have to turn around.